The people of Arendor had long whispered of dragons. These whispers were not just idle chatter, but a deep-seated part of their culture, woven into the very essence of their daily lives. From the youngest child to the oldest elder, everyone knew the tales of these magnificent creatures, ancient beings of immense power. These dragons were not mere figments of imagination, but were believed to be the very embodiment of nature's raw and untamed energy. Their presence was said to command the elements, bringing rain to parched lands and fire to the coldest nights. They were woven into the very fabric of the land. The mountains bore their likeness, and the rivers were said to flow with their blessings. Every rock and tree seemed to whisper their names, and the wind carried their stories far and wide. Their stories were passed down through generations. Around the hearths and campfires, elders would recount the legends of old, their voices filled with reverence and awe. Children would listen with wide eyes, their imaginations painting vivid pictures of these majestic beings, tales told in hushed tones. These were not just bedtime stories, but sacred narratives that held the wisdom of the ages. The whispers carried a sense of mystery and wonder, a reminder of a time when the world was filled with magic and possibility. Legends spoke of their fiery breath and scales of obsidian. These dragons were said to possess the power to reshape the very landscape with their breath, turning forests into ash and mountains into molten rivers. Their scales, dark and impenetrable, were a testament to their invincibility. They were said to be guardians of the balance. The dragons were not just destructive forces, but protectors of the natural order. They maintained the delicate equilibrium between creation and destruction, ensuring that life could flourish in harmony. Protectors of the natural world. They were believed to have a deep connection with all living things, from the smallest insect to the tallest tree. Their presence was a blessing, a sign that the land was under their watchful eye. But the dragons had vanished. Their absence left a void that was felt by all. The skies once filled with their majestic forms were now empty and silent. The land mourned their loss, and the people of Arendor were left with only memories. Centuries ago, they disappeared from the skies. The reasons for their disappearance were shrouded in mystery. Some said it was a great cataclysm, a cosmic event that forced them into hiding. Others believed it was the result of human folly, a consequence of greed and hubris. Some believed they were hunted to extinction. There were tales of brave hunters and warriors who sought to claim the glory of slaying a dragon. These stories, though filled with heroism, also spoke of the tragic loss of these magnificent creatures. Others claimed they slumbered beneath the earth. Hidden away in deep caverns and secret places, the dragons were said to be in a state of deep hibernation, waiting for the world to be ready for their return, waiting for the right moment to return. The legends spoke of a time when the dragons would awaken, their power restored, to bring balance back to the world. This hope kept the spirit of the dragons alive in the hearts of the people. But all agreed on one thing. Despite the differing beliefs about their fate, there was a consensus among the people of Arendor. The dragons, whether gone or merely hidden, had left an indelible mark on their world. The age of dragons was over, or so they thought. Life continued and the world moved on, but the memory of the dragons lingered. It was a time of peace, but also a time of longing for the magic that had once been. The memory of dragons lived on in Arendor. Their legacy was preserved in the art and architecture of the land. Statues and carvings served as a constant reminder of the dragons' once great presence. They were etched into ancient tapestries and carved onto weathered stone. These artifacts told the stories of the past, keeping the legends alive for future generations to discover and cherish. They were a fading echo of a forgotten time. The stories, though still told, began to lose their immediacy, becoming more like myths than history. Yet the essence of the dragons remained, a whisper in the collective memory of the people, a whisper in the wind. The dragons, though no longer seen, were felt in the very air. Their spirit lingered, a subtle presence that reminded the people of Arendor of the magic that once was and the hope that it might one day return. Alyssa had grown up on tales of dragons. From the moment she could understand words, her father, a renowned historian, had filled her world with the legends of these magnificent creatures. Each night as the fire crackled in their cozy study, he would recount stories of brave knights, enchanted forests, and dragons with scales that shimmered like precious gems. Her father, a renowned historian, had filled her childhood with their legends. He would often bring out ancient scrolls and dusty tomes, their pages yellowed with age, and together they would explore the mysteries of the past. These moments were magical, and Alyssa's imagination soared with every tale. She devoured every book and scroll she could find. Her thirst for knowledge was insatiable, and she spent countless hours in the library, surrounded by stacks of books and maps. Each new discovery was a treasure, and she meticulously documented everything she learned in her journal. Each one fueled her fascination. The more she learned, the more she wanted to know. She was captivated by the idea that dragons might have once roamed the earth, their mighty wings casting shadows over ancient kingdoms. The possibility that these creatures could be more than just myths ignited a fire within her. She yearned to uncover the truth behind the myths. Alyssa was determined to prove that dragons were not just figments of imagination, but real beings that had left their mark on history. She believed that somewhere, hidden in the annals of time, there was evidence waiting to be discovered, to prove that dragons were more than just stories. She often found herself daydreaming, staring out the window of her father's study, imagining what it would be like to find undeniable proof of their existence. The thought consumed her, and she knew she had to follow this path, no matter where it led. Alyssa spent countless hours in her father's study. The room was a treasure trove of knowledge, filled with ancient texts, maps, and artifacts from distant lands. She would lose herself in the pages of history, piecing together clues and forming theories about the past. She pored over ancient texts and crumbling maps. Each document was a puzzle piece, and she was determined to see the bigger picture. She meticulously examined every detail, hoping to find a lead that would guide her to the truth. One day, she stumbled upon a cryptic inscription. It was hidden in the margins of an old scroll, almost invisible to the naked eye. Her heart raced as she carefully deciphered the ancient script, realizing that she had found something extraordinary. It spoke of a hidden chamber. The inscription hinted at a secret location, a place that had been lost to time. It described a chamber where the last dragon was said to have taken refuge, a sanctuary hidden deep within the mountains, a place where the last dragon slept. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. If the inscription was true, it meant that dragons had indeed existed, and one might still be out there, waiting to be discovered. Alyssa's mind raced with possibilities. A surge of excitement coursed through her. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the breakthrough that could change everything. She felt a mix of exhilaration and determination, knowing that she was on the verge of something monumental. Could this be the discovery she had dreamed of? Alyssa's heart pounded as she considered the implications. She knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she was ready to face them. With a deep breath, she resolved to follow the clues and uncover the truth, no matter where it led her. The ground began to tremble. It started subtly, a faint tremor beneath the feet, but it grew in intensity. People whispered of ancient prophecies. They feared a coming cataclysm. Alyssa knew in her heart that this was no ordinary earthquake. This was something more, something connected to the inscription she had found. She raced to the location described in the ancient text. It was an abandoned mine shaft, hidden deep within the mountains. Ignoring the danger, Alyssa ventured inside. The tremors intensified with each step. The air grew heavy, charged with an unknown energy. The mine shaft led to a cavern, vast and echoing. Alyssa's footsteps echoed off the walls, the sound magnified in the vast emptiness. She could feel the weight of the earth above her, pressing down, making the air thick and heavy. The deeper she ventured, the more the darkness seemed to close in around her, swallowing the light from her lantern. In the center lay a colossal dragon, its massive form dominating the cavern. Alyssa had heard tales of dragons, but seeing one in person was an entirely different experience. The sheer size of the creature was overwhelming, and she could hardly believe her eyes. Its scales, the color of molten gold, were dull and cracked. Time had not been kind to this once magnificent beast. The dragon's body was covered in a thick layer of dust and debris, evidence of its long slumber. Alyssa couldn't help but wonder what had caused the dragon to fall into such a deep sleep. It was encased in stone, seemingly frozen in time. The stone seemed to pulse with a faint, otherworldly energy, as if it were alive. Alyssa reached out a hand, hesitating for a moment before touching the stone. It was cold to the touch, sending a shiver down her spine. As Alyssa approached, the dragon's eyes flickered open. She gasped, taking a step back in surprise. The eyes, once closed in eternal slumber, now glowed with a fierce intensity. It was as if the dragon had been waiting for this moment, waiting for someone to awaken it from its long sleep. They burned with an ancient fire, a fire that had not been extinguished by the passage of time. The dragon's gaze was piercing, and Alyssa could feel the heat of its stare. It was as if the dragon could see into her very soul, judging her worthiness. The tremors reached their peak, shaking the very foundations of the cavern. Rocks and debris fell from the ceiling, and Alyssa had to shield herself from the falling stones. The ground beneath her feet seemed to come alive, shifting and moving as if it were a living entity. The cavern groaned and shifted around them, the sound echoing off the walls. It was as if the very earth was protesting the dragon's awakening. Alyssa could feel the power of the dragon resonating through the cavern, a power that had been dormant for centuries. With a deafening roar, the stone encasing the dragon shattered. The sound was so loud that it seemed to shake the very air. Alyssa covered her ears, trying to block out the noise. When she looked up, she saw the dragon standing tall, free from its stone prison. The dragon, Pyrothar, unfurled its wings. They were massive, spanning the entire width of the cavern. The wings were covered in the same molten gold scales, now glowing with a renewed brilliance. Alyssa could feel the power emanating from the dragon, a power that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. They spanned the width of the cavern, casting a shadow over everything. The dragon's wings were a testament to its strength and majesty. Alyssa could hardly believe that she was witnessing the awakening of such a legendary creature. Alyssa watched in awe and trepidation as the last dragon took to the sky for the first time in centuries. The dragon's powerful wings beat against the air, lifting it higher and higher. Alyssa knew that this moment would be etched in her memory forever, a moment of wonder and fear, a moment when the world changed forever.